What's up guys, this is Chucky from IJWHtv, and today we're going to be reacting to the Distractible podcast. If you've never heard of the Distractible podcast, it's a podcast made by some of my favorite YouTubers, Mark, Bob, and Wade, or you may know them as Markiplier, MySkirm, and LordMinion777. And what they do is they basically just talk about the most randomest stuff, and it is hilarious. Today we're going to be reacting to Mark's story about pharmaceutical purgatory. This channel is all about pharmacy, so let's see what he has in store for us.
But I do have a recent thing where I got screwed a lot that only resolved literally last week. Like, not at the time of this recording, maybe when people hear it, it was a little earlier, but for us right now, literally last week, I finally got this resolved. I would call this one pharmaceutical purgatory. This whole story starts back in September of last year, but to get full context, just a few things of early information. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was 21, late in life, but it was mostly just because as a kid, I didn't really know what ADHD was. And then when I was a teenager in high school, I had an inclination that I might, because I had a lot of trouble like focusing and doing work. And like whenever I tried to like do something, I would just kind of fall asleep. And it didn't matter how much I wanted to do something. If it like took work, it was just almost impossible for me to do anything. And it was incredibly frustrating.
So ADHD stands for Attention Deficient Hyperactivity Disorder. Usually it's found in children around the ages of 5 to 17. The symptoms that people get with this is like hyperactivity, inability to stay focused, loss of patience. Usually it's treated with like Adderall, Focalin, Concerta. Basically helps them like stay focused on what they're doing and treats them to best live a normal life. Like, I see people that come through the pharmacy all the time, and when their child's prescription is not ready, the parents lose their minds. Mainly because they know how the child acts when he's not on the medication, so they don't want to deal with that. And I understand that. Let's continue on with the story and see what happens next.
So finally, when I went to college and I was on my own, I was able to be like, I'm just going to go get tested, see what happens. I got tested. I think they said it was in the red. If there's like a gauge and a needle, it's like all the tests that I take, and there's like a series of different concentration tests. Every single one was like, you passed with flying colors. You are so deep into ADHD. I was like, wow, okay, that answers a lot of questions. So part of my therapy, in addition to other like habit changes that I did, I got a medication. So I've been taking Adderall since my diagnosis. So for about 10 years, I've been taking Adderall. Okay, that's not abnormal. That's fine. I got up to a therapeutic dose. That's fine. It's what it is. It's what my doctor recommended. This is a key component to this. Me and my doctor have been in constant communication. I've actually had a few different doctors, and we've always been in constant communication because that's how medicine should work for these therapies, right?
He's right. It's good to keep communication with your doctor so you know what you're taking. I see a lot of people that come through the pharmacy that have no idea what medication they're taking. They don't know what the medication is, what it's for, and it scares us as the pharmacy because we're dispensing medications for you and you don't know what you're taking. So we don't want to harm you. It's good to have memory of what you're taking and what you're using it for to protect your health. We're just the pharmacy. We don't have control over what's prescribed to you. We don't have control over what you take. We do keep track of like drug interactions so that you are not taking a medication and another medication and they have cross sensitivity. So kudos to you, Mark, for keeping track of your medications and keeping up with your doctor's information.
So since I've been taking it for 10 years, I was reaching the point where the option was either go up in dosage or try a new medication for therapy reasons, because the same medication that I've been taking for a long time, you know, it stops being effective or as effective because of tolerances, all these different things, longevity, my brain changes. There's a bunch of different factors. I don't know them all because it's a communication between me and my doctor. So I find out about this new medication that's coming out. It has good reviews. It's like, I want to switch from it. Should I give the name to it? It doesn't matter. It's
Subtractinone?
What?
Attentional.
These are all great names and they were wonderful. But it's this medication called the Stars. I read reviews about it. It's all these weird medication names are bizarre.
That's how the channel started, because people don't know the names of these drugs or how to pronounce them. And it's hilarious seeing them try to pronounce them. So get on the show. Try to pronounce some names.
I wanted to try it. Had good reviews, talked to my doctor, seemed like it was a good fit for me. He said, okay, let's try this medication. I'll write you a prescription for a 2-week prescription, and then we'll go from there and evaluate.
The good thing is about this, the doctor's only writing a 2-week prescription for it. Why that is good is because you don't know how this new medication is going to react to your body. So it might be effective, it might be worse. So it's just good to test it out and see how it goes. And some medications, they don't take physical effect until about 2 weeks. So you could be taking this medication for like a week and find out nothing's working for you. And then after like 2 weeks of taking this medication, you might actually have a reaction to it. It's very common with some medications. I know for a fact, like the medication Avodart, it takes over 6 months to take effect.
So I take this prescription to my pharmacy, CVS. It's the one nearby. And I submit the thing and they're like, oh, never heard of this one before. We'll order it and it should be ready in a few days. Sure, perfectly normal. This was in September of last year.
Oh, that was a while ago.
That was 1, 2, 8 months.
You did say it took a while.
Yeah, as of right now, it's May. And as of right now, I got this prescription last week. The first time that there was a problem, because I submitted on like a Thursday. So the following Monday, I still haven't heard anything from CVS. So I call and I'm like, hey, did you get that prescription in? And they said like, no. And I said,
wrong answer.
Yeah.
Let me put you on hold for a minute. I'll find out.
So I'm like, oh, do you know why?
Cool.
Literally the answer I got. I'm not exaggerating. When I asked them why it didn't come in, they said,
I don't know. We don't know why it didn't come in. We'll try to order it again.
9 times out of 10, I don't know is not the answer for you. You always want to try to give a positive answer or some logical reasoning of why something hasn't come in yet. With controlled substances, it usually takes a little bit longer for them to come in. Usually maybe 2-3 extra days. It used to be a lot simpler where the pharmacist would just write on the piece of paper of everything that they need and then it would come in like at the end of the week. With CVS, like the ordering process is now like system generated. It's not something you can just write down and order what you want. So you put it in on an order and then the system will catch it and place an order for it. With this specific medication being a controlled substance, the pharmacist always has like red flags to check. Starting a new medication for it shouldn't be an issue, seeing that he's been taking Adderall. So he's switching from one medication to another. I don't see why the pharmacist can't put it on order. The way to respond to a patient would be to place them on hold, check the manifest of the order that came in that day, see if it came in. Usually if it's a weekend, orders are not gonna come in. But just check the order, see if it came in. On the manifest, it will tell you if it came in, and if it doesn't come in, why it doesn't come in. Usually it's an availability issue, it's on back order. If it's not on the manifest, then obviously it's not ordered for that day. You should check the next day and see if it comes in then. The next step would be to check the distribution center system. So I would just log in, check it out, type up the medication and see if it's available or not. If it's available, then you just let them know, hey, the prescription didn't come in, but it does show it's available, so we can try tomorrow. If it doesn't show that it's available, then we just let the patient know, hey, unfortunately the medication's on back order or it's not available. Then see if the doctor can find an alternative or go back to the other medication that you were taking.
Well, it's a good thing it's not an important medical prescription. It was just a frivolous, fun prescription. So, you're fine. You'll be fine.
That is exactly the situation I was in because I was running out of my previous prescription. I only had so many pills left. And that's a problem, but I was like, okay, order again. I got a few days left. I should be fine. Next day comes around. They said, we'll order it. We'll put it priority. It should come in tomorrow. Great. Tomorrow rolls around. I call again. You got it?
No.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay. all right, starting to become a problem here.
Is this the same person answering every time?
yeah.
It's like this person reading a magazine,
I
like not
love
even
that.
looking at your account.
And it is the same amount of indifference. It is just like, nah, I'm busy. Like, I can't look into it. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of important. I need to know if you have this. Do I need to transfer this to another pharmacy? What's the order of things here? It's like, well, because of what it is, you can't transfer it. We can't transfer it. You have to get your doctor to write a new prescription. It's like,
When it comes to controlled substances, C3 through 5s, depending on your state, you can transfer at least once if it's been filled at the current pharmacy that it's at. Whereas C2 prescriptions, you cannot transfer at all. They're non-transferable. If you want to get it sent to another pharmacy, you would have to have it canceled at this pharmacy, and then you would have to get it called into another pharmacy by your doctor. It's put in place like that to keep people from going pharmacy shopping. There's a lot of red flags with controlled substances. So controlled substances are arranged from Control 1 to Control 7, starting with Control 1 being illegal substances. These are not prescribed to anyone, so that's not something we'll ever keep in stock. Control 2 is the highly addictive medications. It's like oxycodone, Percocet. These prescriptions are very monitored very closely. There are people who take it as a maintenance drug. Mostly like C2 controls, like pain medications, are dispensed only as like a 3-day supply, whereas the ADHD medications, they're prescribed as a 30-day supply but monitored closely because they're highly addictive.
It's because like ADHD medication is like a controlled substance.
Oh,
like
dang.
so it's like category 2. So there's
so they don't want you calling it into like 6 places and like getting all those prescriptions at once. Okay.
Which
I guess that makes sense.
I totally understand, and that's what I'm thinking this is all about. Like, okay, there must be something about this. So I'm like, okay, can you try to order it again? Like, hopefully it's just an inventory issue and whatnot. And then like, please, like, this is very important. I need it because I need to know if I need to get a different prescription to fill the interim. Like, it's important. And they're like, okay, we'll order it again. 3 days pass. Like, I'm on my last pill of this other prescription. I'm like, please, did you get it? And it's like,
Nah, and we're not going to order it anymore because it doesn't keep you coming in.
and I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Does this person also work at a vet clinic? Because they sound very familiar.
Yeah, I'm just like, what do you mean? I never get upset on customer service stuff, but I could not fathom why it is. And it's like they said, we don't know, there's no answer. Like, just the supplier didn't order it. And I'm like, what do you mean the supplier didn't order it? What are you talking about? And then finally, I go to the store. I literally go to the store and I confront the same person I was talking to on the phone. And I'm like, please tell me what is the problem? And the problem was that because it is a new medication, my insurance couldn't cover it until there was a prior authorization, which is a factor in these things. It is a factor.
Yeah.
So prior authorizations, I consider it a triangle effect, or that's what I call it when I tell patients that it needs a prior authorization. So the reason why I call it a triangle effect is because it starts at the pharmacy with the rejection saying it needs a prior authorization, and then what we have to do is we send it back to the doctor, and the doctor has to fill out a form explaining why the patient needs this medication. So from there, it goes to the insurance, and then the insurance either approves it or denies it. Usually it takes like 2 to 3 days to get feedback from them. Ideally, with the automated computer system, if it's approved and we get it filled for them, they should automatically receive notification saying, hey, your prescription's been approved. I don't believe it does it for denial prescriptions. So with the denials, I think it's best to contact the patient and let them know the information. That way we keep that communication between the patient and the pharmacy. That way they know what to do next, what their next step is, and getting in contact with the doctor to see if they want to prescribe something else. That way the patient doesn't go without medication.
They didn't tell me that it needed a prior authorization, which they would ordinarily tell you long ago, because then they would look and they would see insurance didn't pay for it and stuff like that. So I said, fine, okay, I'm gonna go to my doctor and he will submit a prior authorization, which is the most absurd thing in the world, because what it is, it's the insurance company just saying like, we don't know if you really need this medication. We need to hear from your doctor that you actually need it. And I'm like, didn't my doctor write on a very special piece of paper that no one can duplicate that my name is on it, needs this medication? That's what a prescription is. Why would they write it if I didn't need it?
So a lot of times the customers complain about insurance rejections. basically blaming us for the medications not being ready and filled. In reality, the medication just isn't covered by the insurance. And one of their complaints is that their doctor wrote the prescription, it should be covered by the insurance. That's not necessarily true. Not everything is covered under your insurance. There's a lot of medications that insurances will cover and a lot of medications that insurance won't cover. It really depends on your insurance plan, what tier it is. If the insurance doesn't cover the medication, usually they'll have an alternative in place of that medication for you to take or recommended, so your doctor can write the prescription for that. A lot of times the customers will blame us, the pharmacy, for the issue, when in reality we have no control over that. We know it gets annoying at times and we know it's not our fault, but we do end up taking a lot of blame for the stuff that insurance causes that we have nothing to do with.
You know, what's crazy is the prior authorization is literally a letter from my doctor that essentially says, yes, they need this medication. So they get the prescription from my doctor, like, well, we need to hear from your doctor. And then the doctor writes a note that says, this guy needs it. Oh, it's a letter from your doctor. Ah, now we'll submit it through.
Oh my God.
And you would think this would be the end of the story.
Oh no, I would not.
But we've only gone a week into the timeline of me. So I get the prior authorization. It goes through. And you know what my insurance says?
That looks like a fake authorization if I've ever seen one.
That's pretty much what happened. And I've never understood that in my life, where I've never even heard that. And what they did was they didn't straight up say no. It was like,
well, are you sure you don't need another medication? How about one of these that we do cover?
And I'm like, are you my doctor? Are you writing prescriptions? Are you doing the prescribing thing? You medical profession? No.
I remember asking my professor a question about insurance and asking him if the insurance companies basically rule the medical field. And his response to it was, I feel like it does. Because anything medical related has to go through the insurance. If you don't go through insurance, it's gonna be really expensive. With the new medication that just came out, a lot of insurances are gonna give kickback and say, no, we're not gonna cover this medication. Why? Because it's really expensive and they don't want to deal with that reimbursement.
What came about is it wasn't even after the insurance, because the prior authorization finally went through, whatever, after a long fight with that took another week. So I went back to CVS and I'm like, can you please order this now? And then they didn't even try to order it. After all of that, with the prior authorization, with the talking to my doctor, with getting insurance sorted out, all of that, they just said our supplier refuses to buy this medication because there aren't enough people getting prescribed this medication. And I've never heard a more insane sentence in my life.
So that is not true. A lot of distribution centers, they'll let you purchase the item, but sometimes if it's something special and it's not very common, you'll have to contact the distribution center to basically say, I need this medication, and you have to give an explanation of why you need the medication. There are some medications like that where we have to contact the distribution center and say, hey, we need this medication, the patient really needs it, they're wanting to start a new medication, whatever it is we need to do to get that medication for the patient. It's not true that we can't order it. There's a special way that we have to order it.
Because what that means is, like, with any, and I get it's a new medication, like, of course there aren't going to be many people. It's new, but do just hundreds of people have to have this fight with a pharmacy to get a medicine that their doctor says that they need? Or like and yes is the answer. Yes is the actual answer.
Of course.
It should be a team fight. It should be the pharmacy and the doctor's office fighting together with the patient to fight the insurance to get that medication that they need. It shouldn't be the patient fighting with the pharmacy. It shouldn't be the patient fighting with the doctor's office. It shouldn't be the doctor's office fighting with the patient. It should all be a team effort. So we got to try to get that medication for that patient if they really need it.
And it was the most absurd thing. So obviously I couldn't deal with this wait. I got my doctor to write me another prescription for my previous prescription of Adderall. This mystery thing that was a STARS just had to be shoved off to the side. Like, it just had to wait. And so, because I was busy making space and I was like, I need medication for this. It's just like, I can't function at this point in my life and I want to try this new thing. So it goes by, and every once in a while I'll check in with it and it won't happen. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. And I talked to my doctor, and I figure it's been 6 months, right? It's been 6 months. Space is almost done. I finally have a chance where I can get to a point where I can address this other issue in my life, and I can try a new medication that will hopefully be more beneficial to me. All seems good. My doctor's like, sure, you got it, buddy. Let's try it again. Here we go again with this test prescription, yada, yada, all that stuff. I send it to CVS, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's try this again. They ordered it. I call up. Did it come in?
No.
Do you know why?
No.
And I'm like, okay, is it a prior authorization thing? And they go, oh, yeah.
At this moment, you should just go to another CVS or another pharmacy in general.
So I go through the whole thing because I've been through it before. I get the prior authorizations because my insurance magically forgot. I didn't even mention that. My insurance needs a new prior authorization. I guess the old one expired. They forgot. Her memory just slips right out their ears.
If you want to use an old prior authorization, you actually need a prior authorization.
Exactly.
Which is an entirely different process.
Yeah.
Since it's a new prescription, it's going to require a new prior authorization. It doesn't have to do with the expiration on it or forgetting. Sometimes it works that way, but a lot of insurances will require a new prior authorization for every new refill, every new prescription. It's just the way that works. Like the original prescription, it still should work with the original prescription, but since it's been over 6 months, I think the prescription's expired.
So I get all that done, and I'm like, okay, all my ducks are in a row. This should work out. Can you order the medication again? They went, yep, all right. We got all our ducks lined up. This will be fine. 2 days pass. I call.
And they ordered it.
Oh, they ordered it, all right. I call. I asked, did it come in?
No.
Do you know why? No. So
Do you at least have the other prescription at this point, or are you like completely like off of medicine?
I have the other one. I have it at the point because I literally got extra because I was like, all right, I'm ready for this to be terrible. And so what I eventually, because I talked with them further and I called customer service on my own and I said, what is the problem? And it was again a situation where that supplier of CVS was not ordering it. They did not order it again, but they didn't say this time that it wasn't because there was enough. They just said no. And I called up people on the phone and I said, like, why would this happen? And I got answers like, oh, okay, maybe there's a supply issue. Maybe now it's new, but it's popular, so they literally can't get it. And so I'm like, okay, that's valid. You know what I'll do? I'll call the people that make the drug because they have a customer service line. And so I call them up and I say like, hey, I'm out in California. Is there any reason why CVS wouldn't be able to get that? And the guy from the company that makes the drug said,
I've never heard of that before. We have plenty of inventory. CVS has bought it before. We don't know why they would refuse to order it.
Neat.
and I'm like, the plot thickens. What?
Oh my God, I figured it out.
Yeah.
I know why.
Why?
I'm going to go ahead and make my guess.
Okay.
The person on the phone that you keep calling, it's like, no, is a big fan of your hospital content and really just wants to see more hospital videos on your channel. So they're denying you your medicine in hopes of getting that sweet content they love.
And you know what? They got it, but not because of this. I cannot legally say that I went to the hospital because of this situation because I did not. And no one, CVS, do not sue me.
He does hurt
Don't
himself
sue
a lot.
me. Like, because I'm not saying that's the situation. It just so happens that the morning I tweeted at CVS, because at this point I had exhausted every possible option. I had no other recourse. I did not want to go publicly with this because it's a private thing. It's my medication. It's like all this stuff that I'm taking care of. And yet I was like, there's no other way. How else would I do it? I've talked to their customer service. So I tweeted them and then like they respond, of course. Oh, I didn't even mention because after I called the manufacturer, I go to my app where I can see my prescriptions and my prescription has disappeared.
Don't ask me about how the app works. I have no idea how this app works. I get customers that come all the time and say, hey, can you show me how this works or what I need to do to see my prescriptions on the app? And I have to tell them, I don't know. I've never worked the app. I don't know how the app works. As far as I can see, it's very buggy. It doesn't work very well. It's not user-friendly. But some people figure out how it works and they can function with it. I don't know how it functions though.
But I finally get someone on the phone and they say,
Oh, okay, I don't know why that CVS can't order it, but there's a CVS 20 minutes away that has it in stock right now.
And I'm like, you are joking me.
As a safety measure, we don't look up other pharmacies for controlled substances. It's to protect both the pharmacy and protect the patient from pharmacy shopping. We consider that a red flag when someone asks us, hey, can you look up this other pharmacy to see if they have it? If we do that, and then they go to the other pharmacy and the other pharmacy says, no, we don't have it, for one, that tells us the inventory is off, and two, that gives us a red flag saying, hey, they never confirmed that we had this medication in stock. If it's a normal medication, yeah, we'll look it up for you and say, hey, there's one right down the road that has it. Usually I would like to call the other pharmacy to confirm that they have it before we just send them over there. That way it keeps the patient from making the drive over there and come to find out that their counts are off.
Like, I could not believe that. And I'm like, why does that one CVS have it and this one is incapable? Well, it doesn't make any sense at all. How could that CVS not know that the one next door? Because I've had that with other pharmacies where they're like, oh, we don't have it, but a sister location has it. And I'm like, how did you? I literally called my doctor. They changed the prescription over. They put it in the new pharmacy. The next day, I got the medication.
If you go to GameStop and you try to get a video game and it's not in stock, the person behind the counter immediately is like, well, we don't have it, but it looks like these 4 stores within the area do. You can go to one of these and get it right away. But they won't for medicine? I know!
For C2s? No.
Oh, you're dying? Oh, that's too bad.
So after all that, yeah, I finally got the medication so that I and my doctor can go through this medication and figure out if it's right for me.
All right, so you're sure that this is an actual CVS you were going to originally, right? It's not like one of those like where there's a neon sign and the words fake are like burned out, the lights aren't glowing.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I really hope so, and I really think so.
I question that too, because he actually called the pharmacy multiple times and every single time someone has picked up. I don't know how long he's been waiting on the phone for each time, but if it's an actual CVS, it's probably been 20 plus minutes.
It's hilarious because like all this trouble to get a medication, and I don't know, it was like what do they call it? It's like the Swiss cheese of failure. You know, it's like the insurance, the pharmacy, like the supplier, like all these people just like kept like not taking literally the tiniest extra step to help me out. Like no one did that. No one. The manufacturer, when I called them, was infinitely more helpful than any of these people were, just by the sheer like element of them going like, I've never heard of that problem before, which made me realize I wasn't crazy.
Well, profit's in the job description, Mark, not caring.
Right.
Caring's not part of it.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So
why would they go out of their way to see if the store 10 minutes down the road might be able to help you? Ugh, just die already so you can quit calling them.
It's called health industry, not health care. Oh, wait.
The long story short, I got my medication, and so far so good. That's all I'll say about that.
So that's Mark's story on pharmaceutical purgatory. I hope this explanation helped you understand the pharmacy side of things. It probably made you more mad. Usually explaining stuff, it makes people more angry for some reason instead of understanding. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you guys would like to watch the full video or more Distractible, I'll leave the link to their YouTube account in the descriptions below. And I'll see you all in the next video. I just work here. Bye.